I wanted to hold this group because Draconis Knox was in my Discord and was like, "Hey, is there gonna be a group tonight? Because I got a script idea, a fantasy script." And I was like, "Sure." And then he did not submit his script, so now we are sad. Oh well. Fortunately, we have a John Lamont script, which means it's going to bring in a fair amount of money when it gets around to Kickstarter. I'm sure it will involve boobs and yes. What else will it involve, John?
Um, Boobs
Okay,
and a few surprises, I hope.
there you go. And yeah, we had a new person in the Discord asking like, "Hey, I want to put together a comic. It's got like Santa Claus versus Amazon." That was a story I was not expecting. Hmm.
Honestly, it seems pretty cool. It looks like it's got a horror vibe. If it's actually a horror book,
Yeah,
literally nothing in the world could keep it from selling well on Kickstarter,
there you go.
even without boobs.
Although typically horror does go with that, you know.
Yeah, obviously, but
Yeah.
people buy all kinds of horror.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
John's.
Who wants
So,
to narrate?
I'll do
well,
it.
I was going to say, why don't we have Preston narrate? We'll give Danny a break. And Danny, you can read for Tuesday. He's the main character.
Okay.
Exterior warehouse night Tuesday leans against a cargo van, lights up a cigarette as several men load crates from the warehouse into the back of the van. I just want to say you gave us no description for Tuesday. Once full, the foreman closes the doors, approaching Tuesday.
Load's done.
Yeah.
The foreman grabs Tuesday by the collar, shoving him against the side of the van.
You've been late each delivery the past few weeks.
I got stuck in traffic.
Keeping Tuesday pinned to the van, the foreman smacks him several times in the side of the head, each one successively harder. Only the van and the foreman's grip on his shirt collar keeps him standing.
You don't get paid to deliver late. You get paid to deliver on time. You get me?
Yeah, I get you.
We should put the foreman in charge of like Indiegogo's comic book division. That would be cool.
Well, I thought we liked it that they never delivered ever.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's bad for the backers.
Yes.
Which is what matters.
The foreman shoves Tuesday.
Get the fuck on the road.
As the foreman heads back into the warehouse, Tuesday climbs into the van. Interior cargo van night. Hard rock music plays in the van as Tuesday drives down the dark highway. His van's headlights provide the only illumination against the airy shadows cast by the massive trees lining the road. Interior shower stall night. Ooh, we got a shower. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
A young
told you.
woman, early 20s, showers with her clothes on. Why would she do that? That doesn't even make sense. She pulls off her black tank top featuring a ska band. Using the hand soap pump, she pumps the soap into the tank top and then washes it in the shower. Afterwards, she hangs it over the side and proceeds to remove each article of clothing to wash them in a similar fashion. Exterior gas and eats night, a 24-hour diner and truck stop carved out along the side of the highway provides the only respite for weary drivers. Gas pumps. Tuesday pulls off the highway, pulling up to the gas pump. Getting out, he flashes the credit cards and fills his tank. Interior gas and woman's room night. The woman stands by mirror applying dark eyeliner and lipstick. Interior 24-hour diner night. Tuesday enters the diner. A bell above the door dings. A diner is largely empty, save for two truckers eating together at a corner booth. As Tuesday approaches the counter, the punk girl exits the showers, once again dressed in her black miniskirt and tank top, which has several intentional rips. One exposes part of her underboob. Tuesday and the punk girl catch each other's gaze. My question would be, should her clothes be wet then, since she just washed them? I don't know. Anyway. Helen, the waitress, at smiles at Tuesday pour a cup of hot coffee.
There he is, right on time, every Tuesday at 12.
Helen's comment diverts Tuesday's attention away from the punk girl. He smiles at Helen, his one bright spot in the entire evening run.
Same as usual.
Of course.
Tuesday pours hot sauce and sugar into his coffee. Well, who the hell does this? All right. Helen turns back to Gary, the short order cook.
Gary, it's Tuesday. Yeah, I know what day it is. Steak and eggs, super rare. Coming up.
Helen walks the restaurant with the coffee, first going to the truckers.
How you boys doing?
Great as always, sweetheart.
She tops off their coffee before heading to the punk girl. The trucker smiles, watching her ass as she walks.
Eyes on the road.
Doesn't hurt to look.
Helen pours a coffee for punk girl.
Can I get you anything besides coffee?
The girl shakes her head without a word, so Helen leaves her, heading back to the counter. Minutes later, Helen drops a plate of barely cooked steak and eggs in front of Tuesday, the red myoglobin bleeding into the eggs.
I really like how you spelled steak there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still can't get over. Yeah. Whatever. I still can't get over how you can eat that.
It's the only way to properly cook a steak.
Helen smiles, shaking her head.
Good night,
Good night.
beautiful.
Okay. Helen glances
Helen-
up as it. I'm sorry.
Helen glances up as the two truckers head out.
Good night, George. See you Friday.
Tuesday glances upward, watching as they exit. Once outside, they walk to their rigs as Tuesday eats. The two semis can be seen outside, driving back onto the highway. Interior gas and eats night later as Tuesday returns to his van. He pulls out his cell phone to check the time. Glancing up from the phone, she spots. Wait, glancing up from his. Glancing up
Yeah,
from
that
his
should
phone,
be he. I'm
He.
sorry.
he
Yeah, he
spots
spots.
Punk Girl standing by his van.
Can I help you?
I heard you were heading east.
Nope.
Tuesday reaches from the door handle, but the punk girl stands by the door.
Please. I won't make a noise. You don't even know I'm there.
The punk girl leans forward, touching his leg.
Unless you want to.
Tuesday grabs her hand, holds her wrist tight, very tight.
Ow.
He pulls her into him, taking a long sniff off her neck before shoving her back.
Why didn't you go with those truckers?
I don't know. Guess they weren't my type.
Tuesday releases the girl, grabs the door handle, which triggers the sensor, unlocking the door. He pulls open the door.
Fine. No detours.
The punk girl grabs her black backpack from the ground, ducking under Tuesday's arm and climbing into the van. Crawling across the bench seat, she gives Tuesday a full view of her panties before making herself comfortable. Tuesday looks around to make sure he isn't being punked or watched.
No detours. Scout's honor.
Tuesday climbs into the van, closing the door and starting up the van. Interior cargo van, man. How many women try to talk their way into a cargo van with a strange man? Apparently this one.
I mean, this is a John Lamont script, so nothing makes sense, especially the panty shots.
The punk girl leans against the door, half asleep, as Tuesday drives down the dark highway. Tuesday clicks on the stereo. The hard rock music fills the van, rousing the girl.
Oh, I love this song.
She scoots over to Tuesday, leaning into his arm.
You're much more comfortable than that door. Do you mind?
I mean, a lot of cargo vans have bucket seats in the front.
I needed a bench seat for the scene to work. So this one has a bench seat.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know if a lot of bench seats of like the driver and passenger for a cargo van. It's unusual.
Yeah, but it's a comic book, so I could tell the artist to draw a bench seat.
Sure. All right. You're
I
much more
have to keep my deadline.
Don't let me stop you.
The punk girl lays down on the bench seat, raising her head into Tuesday's lap. Closing her eyes, she tries to sleep. Tuesday puts both hands on the wheel, but the girl rolls over to her back, eyes still closed as she rests. To make room on the short bench seat, the girl raises her knees, which causes her skirt to fall upward. Tuesday reaches outward to cover her panties, but her miniskirt doesn't cooperate. But in doing so, he bruises her thigh.
Should be brushes.
Brushes her thigh. Sorry, brushes her thigh. Yeah.
I thought you had a schedule.
I do. It's just
The girl repositions herself, her head rubbing against his crotch. She's got to have it. She closes her eyes again, trying to sleep. Finally, she sits up.
I'm sorry. Clearly, I'm making you uncomfortable.
you're not.
I can feel your dick through your pants. That can't be comfortable. Unless you want me to take it out.
Yeah, this girl, Jesus Christ. All right.
He's trying way too hard. She's
Way too
clearly some sort of demon.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Oh, you're too funny.
The girl leans in. This girl. All right. The girl leans in, unzipping his pants and stroking his cock off screen.
There. That's more comfortable, isn't it? All the room he needs.
Fuck it.
Tuesday glances over at the clock on the dash.
All right, you landed your joke. Are you happy, John?
Is that a joke? All right.
I mean, I'm pretty. Was that not the joke?
Is that a joke? I mean, that just seems like a statement to me. Like, fuck it, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to get a lot of guffaws, but I mean, I could. I mean, it's not a bad line, given the situation. Exterior highway night. Tuesday pulls the van off the highway onto an unnamed road, driving 100 feet from the driveway down a gravel road. Interior cargo van night. Tuesday shuts off the engine, putting in accessory mode, keeping the dash lights on and music playing. The punk girl backs off Tuesday, removing her panties. Tuesday stares at her pussy. He climbs on top of her, pulling off her tank top. The punk girl hikes her legs around Tuesday as he mounts her. She screams in ecstasy as he writhes his hips against her. The punk girl's arm falls to the floor of the cab, her hand reaching for her bag. The console and dash lights cast eerie lights through the cabin. The music plays so loud it barely drowns out the punk girl's moans. Tuesday groans, his face contorting as his eyes go red and bloodshot. His incisor teeth grow 2 times in size. He looks down at the punk girl, ready to bite, but she grabs his neck.
No biting. Just fuck me. Harder. Harder.
The girl grabs something from inside her bag. Tuesday roars as he climaxes, taking several breaths before returning to normal. He shifts out of her.
Who the fuck are you?
The punk girl laughs to herself.
Sometimes I don't even know anymore.
Suddenly, the girl stabs Tuesday through the heart with a large silver knife. He screams seconds before his body explodes into fire and ash. The girl falls back against the bench, taking a few breaths.
And then I remember.
Sitting up, the punk girl grabs her tank top and panties, pulling them back on. Grabbing her phone from her backpack, she goes to the GPS unit, taps on recent. A list of addresses appears. She takes photos of the addresses with her phone. Exterior cargo van day. The punk girl walks around.
That should still be night. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read what it says.
That's
Anyway,
fine.
all right. To the back of the van, keys in hand, she opens the back door, finding it full of crates. Climbing inside, she pulls the latch back, opening it. Cold steam rising from inside as she finds them full of blood bags.
Jackpot.
Leaping from the cargo van, the girl closes the door. Walking around to the driver's side, she grabs her backpack. From inside, she produces a rag and a bottle of lighter fluid. Popping the cap on the gas tank, she shoves half the rag inside. With the lighter fluid, she squishes the lighter over the rag and onto the ground. Stepping away from the gravel road, she ducks inside a ravine. Lighting a road flare, she tosses beside the van. It only takes seconds before kaboom, the van explodes into flames. Exterior burning cargo van. Night later, a sheriff's cruiser pulls down the roadway behind the still burning cargo van. Yes. The two deputies get out. One grabs night vision binoculars, scans the area. The other inspects the burned out van.
Any sign of the driver?
If he's not dead, he soon will be.
Interior city apartment. Night. The punk girl enters the apartment, finding her husband and son, about 5 years old, sitting on the living room carpet playing trucks.
Mommy!
Mom's a whore. Anyway, the girl plops down onto the couch as her son climbs up, giving her a hug.
He wanted to wait up for you. I didn't think you'd mind.
The girl gives her son a hug and a kiss.
Of course.
Her husband leans in, kissing her on the forehead.
Go take a shower and I'll put him to bed.
Join me after?
Of course.
She is undersexed after all. All right.
I think if she's giving it away for free, she's technically a slut and not a whore.
True. Yes. Mama's a slut. Anyway. All right. Mom's a slut. Urban fantasy story. Well, she did a good thing. I think she seems to be out to kill supernatural critters. Although, quite frankly, Tuesday seemed like a fairly decent guy. He clearly had long, stable relationships with the staff of the diner. He was just doing his job that he was being beat up for, and I don't know that he deserved his grisly fate, but nevertheless, he succumbed to temptation and he paid the price.
Yeah, it's a horror short. There's a twist. There's even two twists, I guess.
I mean, constructive wise, I it seems fine. I think. Yeah, I mean, like I have some questions about the character of Punk Girl. But whatever, we're here, and there's lots of panties. So, all right.
I thought Tuesday was undercharacterized, as was the waitress or whatever at the diner. It's like all the conversations were really boring, so we waited like 8 minutes for a sex scene and then an explosion. That was fine. But we also don't know anything about the punk girl, which is, I suppose, the point. And then, yeah, the vampire stuff or whatever is just like, okay. I mean, if this is a short film, you've got all the bits and it'll do over like a 10-minute span. But if this is trying to go anywhere else, it doesn't really have anywhere else to go.
Well, I mean, look, Punk Girl was preventing a delivery by Tuesday of blood, which suggests there are vampires.
That's true. So all the other vampires now starving will start killing other people's children. Yeah. Way to go, girl.
Right. So this is the inciting incident which causes the
vampire revolution.
The vampire revolution, which if I remember back to my Blood feud, there was like the run of the mill mook vampires of the city were getting restless, so this would set that up, and why not?
But maybe this is a stealth prequel to Blood feud.
It's an alternative opening.
Yeah.
It's not a stealth prequel. It's just I changed all the names because I wanted a genuine reaction from y'all.
Right.
So I didn't use names, but it was a concept that I had for opening Blood Feud with, based on our. I had mentioned a few times that I was investigating American Psycho Vampire Hunter, so that's.
Sure.
I'm like, well, let's see if this works. So
Yeah.
this is a idea of American Psycho Vampire Hunter, and she is supposedly psycho. That's kind of the idea, and yeah, she kind of, in her American Psycho Vampire Hunter-ness, um, basically sets off the inciting incident.
I thought American Psycho was like really known for very, very strange, digressive dialogue.
You like Huey Lewis in the news?
Really odd scene juxtapositions.
Sure. Yes.
And like
I meant more of a character piece, as in somebody who really is just,
She's edgy and crazy, and possibly out for justice.
right.
Well, okay, whatever. As an intro to something, it's fine. You don't need to know
Yeah,
any of
that's all. It was not. It's not meant
as
to
its own
be.
thing. I think it doesn't characterize enough.
I mean, like, since this is since this is an alternative opening to Blood Feud, we're now gonna leave Punk Girl for quite a while, and go meet a bunch of vampires who are working night shift and all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, all these vampires have jobs. That this fucking carriage shows up and just starts murdering their friends.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, so I'm
Americans
actually working a couple different things out with that, because I think the vampire with jobs thing is a little too yeah, I'm gonna kind of do a different tack with that. I think the vampires with jobs thing didn't make a lot of sense in the world that I'm trying to create.
You mean like all the vampire cops?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a little too far fetched to think that half the night cops of a city could be vampire. And why would
I
they?
always thought that myself. So yes, I think that's taking a step in the more plausible direction. Sure.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna kind of upgrade the Watchmen to more of a FBI type of thing.
Okay.
Where they just when they need to show up and enforce their will or whatever, or when hunters get out of line, they'll just show up. That way I don't have to also keep them confined to jurisdiction, because that's what you run into that a lot with, especially like with crime shows. What happens if they're outside of their jurisdiction? Then you have to introduce you have to twist the story into knots to explain why this city cop is 2 counties away.
Yeah.
Or you introduce a brand new character, and it's like, I don't want to do any of that. So
weren't there only like 3 vampire cops?
No, there was the.
Oh, they also had vampire goon squads, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a whole vampire.
Yeah, that was batshit.
Yeah.
Just reduce the scope and have
right. That's basically what I'm doing. That's what I'm kind of doing.
Scary, and then actually give them character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to do. The idea that I'm thinking is going to be more of.
What's your thing with the zombies? Not everything needs a goon squad. Just have an actual villain.
Yeah. So the thought pattern is to do more rule by threat. So it's not so much that like you don't to enact the vampire empire's will on a community. They don't need to own half the cops. They really only need to own, and really they don't even have to own it, and they just have to be over. Only a handful of people in the town or the city actually need to know. And then if these people show up and basically put pressure on them, they can make them do whatever they want. So I'm going to go that route instead. So
I think
it'll
that's better.
The vampire tabletop game suggests a city can manage a population of about 1 vampire per 10,000 people in total.
All right. Well, I mean, New Orleans. That's a fairly
Yeah, I mean, you can have a fair number of vampires, but they probably don't all want to be cops.
right.
right.
Right? Some of them probably want to like live their fucking Anne Rice fantasies or whatever, and some of them just want to like hang out in a shack and eat strangers, and some of them want to like, I don't know, be real estate moguls, and probably a bunch of them are running Bitcoin scams
Yes.
because they're all predators, right?
Yes.
Or parasites.
Yeah. So and then of course there's also there's blood farms and stuff like that. That's basically what the warehouse is. So as I said, I kind of have some ideas. I don't know if I'm going to do this. This was just kind of an idea that I had, and I wanted to see what you guys thought of it. That's all.
I mean, it's a really good start to a story about some fucking Karen killing all of your racialized brethren.
There you go.
So that's actually a very New Orleans vampire story. You should write that.
What? Wait. What? Say that again.
It's a very New Orleans vampire story.
Right, now I got that part. What makes it a very New Orleans story?
Some fucking Karen is just like killing all of your racialized brethren who like can only go out at night because you have congenital problems with sunlight.
Okay, well that's one way to put it. I don't really think of vampire hunters as Karens, but
yeah, well, this vampire hunter is definitely a Karen.
I didn't get that vibe off of her. Like she's, like a punk girl vigilante. She never appeals to any kind of higher authority or cites any.
She just like goes to someone else's business and starts getting all up in it. Totally Karen.
Oh, fair enough. All right.
She's not going anywhere. Why did I get in this truck? Because it's one of the vampires I can fuck with. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Karen behavior.
All right. Fair enough.
All right.
I mean, it's. I think
you like the Karens are becoming villains
in terms of world building from previous. Yeah, I like the idea of getting rid of, half of the cops being vampires. I always thought that was dumb.
I mean, I remember when Blood Feud was a really good vampire buddy cop project, and I forgot about the gang of vampire SWAT team.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, that.
Yeah, there was.
Don't do that.
There was. Yeah. It was
vampire
SWAT
like,
teams.
all
It
the
was
vampires
all kinds.
hanging out together.
Right. I mean,
there's lots of good reasons to not have a bunch of vampires hanging out together. Like, where will the food come from?
Right. Yeah. I mean, going with like the tabletop lore. I mean, those guys could all be controlled by, like there's a vampire behind the scenes feeding them blood that makes them like super powered and loyal to him, but they can still go out in the daylight, and that's really all you would need.
The cops, yeah.
They don't need to be vampires themselves.
Right. Yeah. I think they were the ghouls or something. They would drink their blood or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Ghouls are humans that have become, more powerful by consuming vampire blood, but that bonds them to that vampire. So,
Yeah.
And you could have half of the police squad be ghouls. Sure, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And ghouls are pretty expendable mooks, so yeah, we would expect for them to just get shredded in the face of like actual hunters and whatnot, and thus and so.
Yeah. And not some crazy bitch Karen who just
Yes. Now I gotta say, like werewolves. Yeah, werewolves are. Usually werewolves are pretty tough. This guy went down like a bitch. Whatever.
He's not a werewolf. He's a vampire.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought he was a werewolf. Doesn't he like change into some kind of crazy beast or something?
He kind of for his vampire, he fangs out.
He doesn't
Okay.
act like a predator at all.
Yeah. And most vampires aren't like deep down to fuck. Um, I mean, usually they're out after blood as opposed to like sexual needs. So,
Or having a job.
what?
Or
Or having
getting
a job.
beat up by some asshole just to like drive a fucking van, probably through werewolf territory. And even if it's not full of werewolves, it's definitely full of Karens.
Yeah.
How long has he had this job going through Karen territory? Stay out of the fucking suburbs.
Yeah. The other. All right. So, given that, I would have to say, I feel Tuesday makes the decisions that don't make any sense to me.
Well, we never see him make any kind of decision, really,
Well,
aside
we
from
do
letting
because
the hot girl in his car.
yeah, he's been put in charge of a shipment that management has let him know, like his life is riding on this shipment, that he needs to get a whole bunch of blood to a whole bunch of vampires in some other town, or it's his ass. And there's this random punk girl who's like, "Hey, you going my way?" And he's like, "Sure." Realistically, he should go, "No."
And why does he stop for steak? He's a vampire.
Yeah, exactly. And why? Yeah, why does he? Yes.
That was why that twist didn't work for me. Okay, now I remember. He eats fucking food.
Yeah.
And then he has sex, which is, as Preston mentioned, a thing vampires generally don't do that much of, because per the lore, they generally have blood flow issues on account of being walking animated fucking corpses.
Yes.
My vampires don't have blood flow issues.
Okay. John, in the Lamont verse, we have horny vampires.
Sure, it's a Lamont story, of course.
It's a John Lamont story. There we go. I think you're better off with this guy not being a vampire and just being like a ghoul, like we were setting up for that way.
How about he's just a guy and Karen kills him anyways, and then still stops the blood shipment?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Then it's actually a horror story, and then the fact that he's boring as fuck is way less important.
Yeah, and like, look, we get nothing out of this guy being a vampire, right? Like, he doesn't really reveal himself too much, and then he dies, right? So.
I mean, we don't even hear him order food. He has so few lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, the waitress orders his food for him.
In fact, why is he even stopping at a diner?
That part I got. Apparently, it's like the place where he always goes, like every week.
Okay, but why does he do that?
Whatever. I'm willing to forgive that.
All right. If you're a vampire on a shipment.
No, it makes way less sense if he's a vampire. If he was there to eat someone and then met the girl, like, no, let's do it in your car.
Yeah.
On the road, outside of, Suburbsville. Oops, I'm a Karen who's out to kill vampires.
Yeah.
The tables have turned. That all makes sense. But we don't see any of that. So that doesn't, in fact, we see the opposite of that.
Right.
Karen's hunting him.
Yes. And he dies horribly. In which case, I mean, the good news is he's no longer has to be abused by his tyrannical boss.
Yeah. It's really just a release from his horrifying existence.
Exactly, yeah. That's what we need in the final scene is, thank goodness, I hated my job.
Oh, sweet release from this horrible life I had.
I guess I'm not going to work tomorrow.
Oh,
Page
my
black.
boss, tell
Let's
him to go. Fuck up.
Okay, final line. Fuck it. No call, no show.
Exactly.
Page black.
So yeah, I don't understand Tuesday going to a diner and picking up a strange girl, given the circumstances he finds himself under.
Okay.
And I mean, we get sex. We could also instead of sex, we could get action. I mean, it's Blood Feud. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for sex. Um, but like there could be a car chase. There could be someone firing like a bazooka off of like a hilltop that strikes the like. There could be so much action on like a scene with like a guy and maybe a possibly armored van, driving along a road at nighttime and people out to stop the shipment and kill him.
While
They're
getting roadhead.
yeah. So I know
And it
we
occurs to me this is also by far the most consensual sex in Blood Feud.
yeah.
So it's out of character for you, John, for this project.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on how you define the power dynamics.
What do you mean?
Well, a vampire having sex with their thrall,
Sure. Yes.
could be considered non-consensual, given that it's the power dynamics of the
There's
relationship.
a gross power disparity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other than that, there really isn't like any per se rape scenes in Blood Feud.
Aside from like all the times everyone tries to rape your other Karen when she's like puking or like just like falls on the ground. There was a couple of those scenes. I don't know if they're still there. But I remember reading a whole bunch of that. Like your other Karen vampire hunter, the one in the city, like everyone was trying to fuck her constantly. It was weird.
Are you sure you're talking about my story and not La Vigilante?
No, I'm seriously talking about your story. There's no sex in like La Vigilante is utterly sexless. It is not. There's that story doesn't have no end to it at all for me right now. But
I don't remember a character puking as while someone's trying to fuck them.
There was some scene kind of like that in some version of some portion of Blood Feud. It was your vampire hunting Karen, or the New Orleans version of that.
Oh well, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's not there anymore, great. That makes your book better.
Well, if I go with this direction, then yeah, it's going to be completely changed. So, but I do like the idea of making this guy a ghoul rather than a vampire.
Just make him a dude.
Well,
he's a perfectly normal person who has a perfectly normal job that happens to be in the vampire economy, and he gets killed for it. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Like nothing is made better by making him supernatural.
I mean, it makes your Karen's job more difficult. Which then can add stakes, which Preston loves stakes.
She's still murdering strangers. So, I mean, once she's okay with that, once she's okay with that anyways, then, she is this ruthless person who will sacrifice anything, especially strangers, to get the outcome she wants. That actually might be interesting, but then you'd have to actually talk about it instead of just having sex scenes.
Well, she's not going to talk about it with him.
Is that because she just murdered him?
Here's the thing.
And we're talking like this is murder one here. This is so premeditated.
Right. Yeah, like.
Oh yeah, she's stalking him. That's kind of the whole.
How confident is she? And let's not talk about the pages you turned in. Let's talk about the pages you would like this scene to become. How confident is she that she can kill him when she gets the opportunity?
While having sex.
I would say more than 50%.
Okay. I mean,
she's suicidal, but she's not like stupid suicidal.
Okay. All right.
Like, she intentionally, she doesn't have enough she doesn't care enough about her own well-being to
I mean,
that
but like
that
she
she
has
would.
like a husband and a child.
Who she also doesn't care about.
Yeah, apparently she didn't give a shit about them either. All right, whatever.
She just happens to live there. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe she lives with
So
a roommate who has a child.
so spoiler alert, they're dead, and she sees their ghosts.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right, fair enough. All
So
right.
It would be better if they were literal zombies.
that gets explained much later. The idea is to confuse people in the beginning, and then eventually it becomes obvious that they're both dead.
Well, if she's crazy, then I would like to see someone who's a bit more crazy. And that provides plenty of opportunities for interesting dialogue because, from her point of view, this conversation is very meaningful because it's going to end soon in the death of one of the participants, which could be her.
You mean the conversation she has with Tuesday?
Yes. That's her last conversation with Tuesday before one of them dies. Now, he doesn't know that, but she knows that.
Interesting.
So I think, particularly if you want to play her as a more psychotic character or American Psycho character, the dialogue options no longer need to be so pedestrian. Like, I'll be quiet over, like, she can be far more engaging because to her, like, this moment that she's in with Tuesday is possibly one of the final moments of her life. She doesn't even know. But if not, then it's one of the final moments of his life. And given her closeness to death herself, she could be way more poignant about the whole experience.
I'd find that really interesting.
And
Also, John, have you seen Forever Night yet? The Vampire Cop TV show?
Nah, not for decades.
It's on YouTube for free.
I forgot. I remembered us talking about it before.
Yeah,
but
it's still the most relevant reference, I think, for most of what you've been going for Blood Feud.
Yeah.
Although the very poignant approach to Karen that Preston suggested, I think, is really interesting. There was also I read this comic called VMT. I think it's Renegade Press out of Calgary published it. Really, really weird book. It's the vampires are all crazy spiritual, but also batshit insane, horrifying, bite your face off killers. So that's a way to lean into the crazy if you want to lean into the crazy.
Send me a link for it. I'll look into it.
Yeah, with the exchange rate, you can get a copy of that book real cheap.
Send me a link for it. I'll look into it.
Will do.
All right. That's the only script we had today.
All right. Well, maybe what's his face will show up next week with a script.
Maybe.
I won't, because I will be at work.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to be here in 2 weeks. So if we're waiting for me, unfortunately, we're stuck with that.
All right, 2 weeks. Fair enough.
2 weeks. All right, no problem. I might have something else, or I might have more harpies.
All right, cool.
Cool.
So everybody in 2 weeks.
I had a couple different things that I've been working on when I need a break from harpies. So I might have that if I don't have more harpies ready for you guys next week.
All right. We'll see
next time. Later. Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Night, everybody.